I worked hard to buy a house for my girlfriend and was preparing to propose, but she suddenly decided she needed to find herself. Hello, everyone. My girlfriend just ended our 4-year relationship. We have a house, a life together, and I had just finished saving for an engagement ring last week. Tomorrow, we were supposed to celebrate our anniversary, and now I'm left here struggling to catch my breath. Her decision didn't come out of nowhere, but it still hit me like a freight train. She's dealt with a hereditary disease her whole life. When we started dating, she was in remission, but about a year in, her health took a turn for the worse. For the past 4 years, it's been a chaotic roller coaster of medications, treatments, and hospital stays. Despite everything, we built a strong bond while navigating her illness together. I own my own business, and because of that, I was able to financially support us when her illness forced her to leave her job. It wasn't easy. I slipped into a deep depression. I started drinking heavily, gained back almost all the weight I'd lost in high school, and became withdrawn. My business, the same one that gave me success, drained my happiness. Through it all, she stayed by my side and helped me, even if it was just by being there. She's always been selfless to a fault. In past relationships and jobs, she let people walk all over her because she didn't want to upset anyone. Even simple things, like deciding where to eat, felt like pulling teeth. I tried my best to encourage her to prioritize herself and chase her passions, but I never realized how deeply her self-neglect ran. About 18 months ago, we decided to move out of the city. Living there was taking a toll on both of us. We found a house in a beautiful area, one that felt perfect for our future. I bought the house, fully aware of the risks of owning property with someone you're not married to, but I didn't care. I believed in us. She quit her job and went back to school to pursue a career she was passionate about. For the first time in years, I felt a glimmer of hope. This change reignited my love for life. I hired more employees, started working a regular schedule, quit drinking excessively, and focused on living in the moment. She noticed the change and loved it. We became more active, happier, and closer than ever. We talked about marriage and children, making plans for the future. For the first time in a while, it felt like everything was falling into place. Then, in October, she got really sick. She spent 6 weeks in the hospital, and I commuted 5 hours a day to be with her, only missing 3 days. After surgery, she came home to recover, and that's when I noticed the cracks. She wasn't excited to see me in the hospital. Our conversations about the future dwindled to nothing. She stopped initiating affection. I did everything I could, but I couldn't shake the dread growing in my chest. Finally, after months of walking on eggshells, I pushed her for answers. That's when she broke. She told me she'd done a lot of thinking while in the hospital. She said she wasn't living for herself and needed to figure out who she was. For years, I'd encouraged her to follow her passions and put herself first, but she admitted that she felt like she'd been holding me back. She told me she loved me, but she didn't want me to settle. The most painful part was hearing that she never felt at home in our house. She said it always felt like my house, not our home. This shattered me because I'd asked her so many times where she wanted to live. She'd always said this place was perfect. So here I am, sober, crying, and feeling completely lost. I can't bring myself to step into the office I built for her new career. The paint is still drying on the walls. The house we dreamed of building a family in feels empty now. She's staying for a little while as we untangle our lives, but I know she's leaving soon. Everyone, including her and my family, is worried about me. I'm not suicidal, I've never been. But I can't drink this away because I know it won't stop. This is the most life-shattering thing I've ever experienced. Update 1: the past 24 hours have been a whirlwind of emotions, both painful and beautiful. After the initial shock wore off, we sat down and talked honestly, perhaps for the first time in a long time. We realized that, for years, we'd been waiting for our relationship to fit into the life we built around it. Between her health struggles, my depression, and the transition into adulthood, we tried so hard to force things to work. We both love each other deeply, but we also admitted that we've been ignoring our own desires in the process. I came to terms with the fact that I've been more afraid of being alone in this house than I've been upset about our relationship ending. I've wrestled with that fear since we moved here because this was my dream, but it was never her dream. She told me I shouldn't feel guilty about the life I've built, and she's right. At the same time, I realized it's not fair to blame her for not wanting the same things I do. I wish she'd spoken up sooner, but I understand why she didn't. She was trying so hard to make me happy. The truth is, she doesn't know what she wants. She thought she wanted a house, kids, and a family. But as those things started becoming real, she realized she wasn't ready and didn't even know if she truly wanted them. She only knows she doesn't want to settle. We've been more like best friends for years, and saying that out loud was a relief. It doesn't mean we want our relationship to end, it means it needs to evolve into what it was always meant to be. We decided to take the week to pack her things, and while it's bittersweet, it's brought us closer. This isn't an angry breakup. It's not about resentment or betrayal. It's about accepting that sometimes love changes. We've made so many beautiful memories together, and while those memories hurt right now, I know one day they'll make me smile. I've realized that I've been using this relationship to fill a void in myself, a fear of being alone. That's not fair to her, and it's not healthy for me. I need to learn how to be okay on my own before I can ever be ready for another relationship. We're not saying goodbye to each other. We're just starting new journeys as individuals. Update 2: I didn't know how to prepare for this day. I'd been dreading it for over a year, and the anxiety and pain it caused consumed my life. But now that it's happened, I feel lighter. The familiar pit in my stomach is still there, but it's quieter now. There's no more uncertainty, no more waiting for the other shoe to drop. It's done. I'm not saying I feel completely at peace, but I do feel better. The hardest part has been letting go of the future I envisioned for us. I've spent years planning for marriage, kids, and a life together. It's strange to wake up one day and realize that all those plans are on hold. We've been living together for a few days since we decided to part ways. It seemed strange at first, like we should rip the band-aid off and go our separate ways immediately. But staying under the same roof turned out to be the best thing we could have done. Last night, I came home to find her struggling. She'd barely packed anything and looked completely lost. When she saw me, she started crying. She told me she thought I was just pretending everything was okay to make the transition easier for her. That moment led to the most honest conversation we've ever had. We sat on the couch for hours, talking about everything, our fears, our regrets, and the love we still have for each other. For the first time, we were completely open and vulnerable. We realized that the weight of trying to force our relationship into something it wasn't had been holding us back. Once we let go of the expectation of romance, we were able to see each other for who we truly are, best friends. It's strange to feel closer to her now than I did when we were together, but it's also comforting. I know our friendship is strong enough to survive this transition, and that gives me hope. Update 3: today, she moved out of the house. We always called it a home, but the truth is, I don't think it ever fully became one, not for both of us. For her, it was always just a house, a place where she lived but didn't feel rooted. Her whole family came to help. I've always been close with them, closer than I've ever been with most of my own family. My biggest fear going into this wasn't just losing her but losing the sense of belonging her family gave me. But they didn't just come to move her things, they came to support me too. They hugged me, cried with me, and reminded me that this wasn't the end of our connection. They reassured me that we'd still share meals, laughter, and memories, just as we always have. Watching them move her things out of the house was surreal. They helped shift some of my belongings into the now empty spaces, a gesture that felt like a symbolic passing of the torch. This house, which was once ours, is now just mine. This entire experience has been both heartbreaking and healing. To outsiders, it might seem like a mess, and honestly, if I were reading about someone else's life, I might think the same thing. But standing here now, I know this was the right thing for both of us. I don't know what the future holds. What happens when one of us starts dating again? What happens when we move on in separate directions? These are questions we can't answer yet, but what I do know is that we want the best for each other. In the days leading up to her move, we spent a lot of time reflecting. Untangling our lives wasn't easy, but it forced us to confront truths we'd been avoiding for years. Without the pressure of a romantic relationship, we finally gave ourselves permission to be honest. I've realized how much of my life I've spent avoiding being alone. I buried myself in this relationship, in caretaking, and in the idea of us, because it was easier than confronting my fears. But it's not fair to her or to me. This is my chance to face those fears and learn how to be okay on my own. She's also realized how much she's sacrificed for others, her family, her friends, her job, and me. She's spent so long prioritizing everyone else that she lost sight of herself. She knows now that she has to figure out who she is and what she wants before she can truly be happy. We both became better people because of this relationship. There's sadness, yes, but there's also gratitude. We gave each other 4 incredible years, and while we couldn't make it work as a couple, we helped each other grow in ways neither of us could have imagined. This week has been emotional, but it's also been a celebration of what we shared. We cried as we packed, but the tears weren't just sad, they were full of love and appreciation. As hard as it is to close this chapter, we're both excited to start the next ones in our lives. Now, it's just me. It's my house, my life, and my journey to figure out who I am without her. I'm going to take it one day at a time. I've started looking for a therapist, and I'm committed to facing my fears without numbing them with alcohol. The hardest part will be breaking the habit of saying we. For so long, there was no me, only us. But I know that as time passes, I'll create new memories, memories that are mine alone. I'll make this house a home. I'll work through my struggles and rediscover my joy. I'll learn the fine art of being me. Thank you to everyone who offered support and kindness. This will be my last update for now as I take my first steps into this new chapter. Thank you for watching the video, subscribe and turn on notifications to be the first to have radish and real stories with you. Have a great day.